Hi everyone, my name is Mikko Puikkonen from CREx, and today we'll be talking about how to use AI for fund management. Every quarter, there's just so much time that always goes into making the reports. In my career, I've always had very few times where I've really been able to focus on analyzing reports or analyzing data. Really, most of my time and effort has always gone into making those reports. And really at the end of each quarter, when the fund ops team have to go through different regular reporting requirements or perhaps questions from LPs, what's our Dallas exposure, what is going on with this particular fund or this particular region, that always takes so much time. There's also a mechanical risk of that there is so many systems where data is coming from, so many different reports and supplementals that you may need to prepare, that there's just a lot of opportunity for small errors and issues. So what we want to do with AI is we all want to be able to work smarter, not harder. That, our current 2-day process could be a question from an LP. We have analysts pulling different statements, reports from Yardi, other real estate systems. We need to do a lot of formatting and spreadsheet gymnastics to get there. And then we need to polish and send out those letters that all take time. And with AI, what we can do is take exports and paste them into a model. And an AI can quickly assemble, draft things for you to review and do calculations. But what you want to make sure is that it's always verified by a human person, and then we get that polished result out the door. So let's take just a quick example. And so I have Claude pulled up here. And so in Claude, I have a prompt created in advance. So basically what we are doing here is that, we're trying to tell Claude that, okay, what is the perspective we're trying to accomplish? So oftentimes it helps to state who you are or what you are. So you're a fund controller writing for institutional LPs, and we're going to paste a quarterly NAV bridge or a roll forward statement. And what do we want it to do? We want it to quickly draft a 4 to 6 sentence of professional commentary that explains the NAV movement based on capital activity. And we want to highlight if there's a dollar impact and what that is. But then we also want to always make sure we put in some guardrails around what we're requesting. Because otherwise, if there's no data given, AI is very notorious for hallucinating or inventing data. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that if there are data points that we did not provide, that it shouldn't speculate, but we wanted to mark those as a driver to yet to be confirmed. And that is a confidence booster and builder for us. So let's take a look at then the data set that we will paste in here. So I have created just this sample statement of capital transaction activity. For this sample would be for 2 different funds. There's some operating results, fund level activity, realized, unrealized items. And so let's just take this whole data set, no formatting here, just we do Control C, and we're going to copy and paste it here just to the back of our prompt and statement. Do Control V to paste that, and then we will click as sending a message. So let's see what Claude is able to do with this data and the prompt or the request that we gave it. Okay, so very quickly we are able to see, combined NAV going down 0.8 million during the quarter, net capital activity reduced, and what was the impact of that. And then what we're seeing here in the middle of this document is that, okay, driver to be confirmed. So that is exactly the behavior, what we're looking to see, that, hey, the guardrails that we put on this request are being enforced and honored. And now if we wanted to do some additional formatting to this data, we can certainly do that with different guidance that that we could also give Claude or your AI tool of choice at this time. But I mean, so fast, it analyzed all the data and is giving meaningful information for you to review and send to your LPs as quickly as possible. So, okay, so what is AI and what is it not? So again, AI is fantastic for doing first drafts, be it letters, memos, commentary. It can spot patterns in different LP registers, capital accounts, cash flows, any kind of data that you can give it. It can extract information. Maybe you have very complex legal documentation. You want to pull a quick summary of side letter obligations, and it will do that very quickly for you. And you can also give AI guidance on how to match your tone. For example, I always tell my AI that I want things to be more brief, be more punchy. That's really something I learned in making PowerPoints. I want them to be punchy. They need to be really short and to the point. But what AI is not a calculator that you can trust blind. You need to verify the calculations. It can definitely make mistakes. It is not a rubber stamp. You should never use it as such, or a source of market facts. So you should not ask AI to go scour the internet. Most enterprise AIs won't even allow for that. It'll invent the data, no problem. What you want to use is your data sets you may already subscribe to from a reputable data provider, but it will glean amazing insights, and it will always require your judgment. No one understands the business and what you need to do better than yourself, so you need to be able to give it your input. And we're going to be going through some different use cases, some fund accounting, investor reporting, fundraising, portfolio management, and compliance, and we'll be going through one of these examples. Okay. So let's take a look at a different example again today. And today we'll be going a little more complicated with even more inputs than before. So I kind of loaded everything up here, but let's just quickly step through what we're doing today. So today we'll be doing a quarterly investor letter that's going to the LPs. And we're using, again, a prompt that we had made before. So, and it explains what we're doing. And then what we have is a prior letter that we want to use for tone, structure, order, and length as an example. And then we're going to feed it some additional data. And so data comes from, so we had the nav bridge, the roll forward that we looked at earlier. So we're feeding those results. Then we have a fund metrics and a portfolio summary as well. And we'll take a look at each one of those documents before we send. And then we also want to make sure that, again, we're programming some guardrails and warnings in here that in case we have reported a certain KPI or a metric before, but our data as submitted does not include that specific data point, we want to know and be notified, just so it doesn't get either miscalculated or maybe even hallucinated by or invented by the AI. So let's take a look at these documents that we're doing. So again, we have our sample fund with a couple of different components with a lot of capital activity operating results like we looked at before. So we're feeding it this. Then we have a separate tab for, or a separate document for some fund metrics. That just shows about, called capital, IRR numbers, loan to values, different calculated metrics that our team would have provided before and what they were in a prior quarter. And then we also have portfolio summary. So this looks like an investment schedule, SOI, that has the assets in the fund, specific metrics for those assets, trailing NOI, market value, any debt on the property, unit size, occupancy, those kinds of things. And then we have our sample letter from our Meridian Real Estate Fund. So we have, it's about a one-pager. And so this is, again, what we're asking the AI to basically follow as it creates a new version. So then we can just go back to Claude here, and we would then just go ahead and click send. And now it's basically studying the letter for structure, prior letter style, and then also including all of those values and KPIs from our reports that we want to notify our investors about. So, okay, so this is going to probably take a few minutes here, so we may do a little bit of fast forwarding here. Okay. And we're back. So let's see what type of results we got for our prompt. So we got a response back that, okay, we have a letter drafted mirroring the structure and the length. Okay, we pulled the numbers for NAV, for all the properties, for Cedar Park sale. And then what we did discover that, okay, there were three specific spots where the information we provided was silent. And so we want to call those out just to make sure that a human will track down any missing data before it goes to the investors. And so then, and one flag carried over, underwritten pace from Q1. So this value isn't in the Q2 pack. And so this would be that we could still instruct it to go TBD if we wanted to be strict sourcing on that line too. So it's just letting us know that this is a judgment call for us. And we got a full letter that has been basically drafted for someone to review. Looks like this one just went slightly to the second page. Again, we could edit it by prompting and asking it to abbreviate it further. Again, that is my favorite thing to do, is to, when I get a response, I always want it shorter. So, and we have those couple of different TBDs that were called out here that then we still need to follow up on before this is ready to go out. So, but again, just incredible time saver in compiling this data, putting this together for you to quickly review. So thanks for watching, and we'll look at a different example next time.